Imagine waking up to the roar of bulldozers carving up your private sanctuary. Not because of some honest mistake, but because a self-appointed neighborhood queen decided your land was her playground for profit. That's the nightmare that hit me like a freight train one crisp morning in the sleepy suburbs of Evergreen Ridge, Colorado, where the air smells like pine and privilege, but underneath lurks a web of petty rules tighter than a noose. And the puppet master? None other than Karen Hargrove, the HOA president who ruled with an iron clipboard, turning our idyllic community into a pressure cooker of absurd regulations and whispered smears. I remember that day vividly, the kind where the sun filters through the aspens just right, casting golden spots on my deck. I'd bought this 40-acre slice of heaven 5 years back, right on the edge of the Ridgewood Estates HOA community, close enough for convenience, far enough to escape their nonsense. My deed was ironclad, no HOA strings attached. I wasn't one of their dues-paying drones. I built a modest cabin up high, off-grid with solar and a wood stove, living quiet like a ghost in the woods. Folks down below called me that recluse on the hill, but lately, the whispers had turned nasty. Rumors spread like wildfire. I was hoarding illegal junk up there, plotting to block their views, even that I was some eco-terrorist sabotaging property values. All bullshit, courtesy of Karen's gossip mill. I ignored it at first. Life's too short for neighborhood drama, but I kept my eyes open, jotting notes in a leather-bound journal like a detective in my own damn backyard. It started innocently enough, or so it seemed. My old pal from the county assessor's office, Mike, rang me up while I nursed my black coffee. "Hey, Alex, you hear about the big expansion? Ridgewood HOA just pulled permits for 15 luxury retreats right on your ridge." I spat out my sip, the hot liquid burning my tongue like the irony to come. "What the hell? That's my land. Mike, I'm not in their cult." He chuckled nervously. "Well, according to the filings, it's under their umbrella now. Better check it out." I hung up, grabbed my boots, and hiked the trail to the summit. Sure enough, there they were, yellow beasts of machinery gouging the earth, surveyors planting flags like conquerors, and workers in hard hats yelling over the din. One burly guy wiped sweat from his brow when I approached. "Who authorized this?" I asked, keeping my voice even. "HOA Prez. Ma'am said it's all squared away. Secured the plot last year. Zoning green-lit it." "Ma'am?" "Oh, that had Karen's fingerprints all over it." Karen Hargrove was the archetype, mid-50s, impeccably coiffed hair that screamed, "I speak to the manager," and a smile that could curdle milk. She'd fined a neighbor $500 for a garden gnome that clashed with community aesthetics, and once called animal control on a kid's pet rabbit for potential biohazards. I'd crossed paths with her 2 years prior at a town hall, where she pushed for a scenic enhancement road that would have sliced my property in half. After I voted it down, she cornered me by the coffee urn, her voice dripping honeyed venom. "Mr. Rivera, you're treating that hill like your personal fiefdom. The community needs growth. Think of the families, the property values. You're not helping anyone buy. Squatting up there. Squatting? On my own deeded land?" I smirked. "Karen, last I checked, my land's not a democracy. But hey, keep dreaming." She huffed off, but her eyes said war. Back to the bulldozers. I could have stormed in, waved my deed like a flag, and shut it down. But something in me, call it intuition or spite, said wait. These rumors about me, they weren't random. Karen was painting me as the villain to justify her grab. So I played possum. Let them dig their own grave. Literally. Over the next months, I watched from afar, binoculars in hand, documenting every trespass. Drone footage of tractors crossing my boundary at dawn. Timestamps on emails where Karen boasted in HOA newsletters about reclaiming and used wilderness for communal bliss. Oh. The irony, her communal bliss meant turning my forest into cookie-cutter cabins with fake log siding and overpriced fire pits. And the whispers grew. That Alex guy's probably bankrupt. That's why he's letting this happen. Heard he's got shady dealings up there. No wonder he hides. I bit my tongue at the grocery store, nodding politely as neighbors side-eyed me. Inside, I seethed, but patience was my weapon. Karen's emails to the county, claiming implied easement rights based on some twisted interpretation of old maps. I saved the rejections, printing them out with a grin. As construction ramped up, the absurdity hit peak levels. They poured concrete foundations on my soil, framed walls that blocked my favorite hiking path, and even installed a gated entrance with a gaudy sign, Ridgewood Summit Retreats, exclusive HOA paradise. Karen paraded around the site like a queen, clipboard in hand, barking at workers. I overheard her once from the tree lean. No, the solar panels must face south. It's in the covenants for energy harmony. Energy harmony? On stolen land? It was laughable, the kind of black humor where you chuckle through gritted teeth. Meanwhile, her smear campaign escalated. At a neighborhood barbecue I skipped, she reportedly told folks, "Poor Alex. He's just bitter because he can't afford to join us. But we're improving the area for everyone, even him." Bitter? I was plotting, not pouting. I hired a discreet surveyor to confirm boundaries, gathered affidavits from old-timers who knew the land's history, and even bugged my own fence line with trail cams. Every nail hammered was another nail in her coffin. The build took a year, and boy, did they go all out. 15 gleaming cabins, each with granite counters, hot tubs overlooking the valley, and that faux rustic charm that screams, "I'm rich but pretend to love nature." They added a community pavilion with string lights, like some Airbnb wet dream. I let it happen, sipping whiskey by my fire, flipping through my growing dossier. The rumors peaked. Alex must be in on it. Why else stay silent? He's probably selling drugs up there. That's why he's quiet. It stung, but I channeled it into fuel. Karen's confidence swelled. She even sent me a smug letter. "Dear Mr. Rivera, as a courtesy, we're informing you of enhancements bordering your property. Should you wish to integrate, HOA membership applications are available. Best, Karen Hargrove, President. Integrate, over my dead body." I filed it away, adding notes on her forged signatures in the margins. Tensions simmered in the community too. Not everyone bought Karen's act. A few neighbors grumbled at meetings about rising dues funding mysterious projects. One, old Mrs. Ellis, cornered Karen after a session. "Where's all this money going? Dear, my pension's tight." Karen's reply, smooth as silk. "Oh, Evelyn, it's for the greater good, maintaining standards. You know, we can't let one bad apple spoil the bunch." Bad apple? She meant me, of course. But Evelyn shot back. "Standards? Like fining me for my bird feeder last month? That's not community. That's control." Karen's face twitched, but she recovered with a patronizing pat. "Rules keep us civilized." Dear, civilized my ass. It was tyranny in pearls. As completion neared, Karen's lapses grew comical. Workers complained of her micromanaging. The paint must be eggshell white, not ivory. It's in the bylaws. One day, a truck backed into a tree on my land. She dismissed it as minor collateral. I captured it all on video, chuckling darkly. Her fear of losing control showed in frantic emails leaked by a disgruntled board member. We must push through. Dissenters like Rivera threaten our vision. Vision, more like delusion. The community felt the squeeze. Dues hiked 20%. Whispers of embezzlement surfaced. Karen quashed them with emergency resolutions, voting herself more power. It's temporary. For stability, she'd coo at meetings, while board members nodded like bobbleheads, promised cuts of the rental profits. I bided my time, the pressure building like a storm. Then came the ribbon cutting, her crowning glory. Invites went out. Join us for the unveiling of Ridgewood's Summit Retreats, elevating community living. Local news crew in tow. Karen in her signature blazer, scissors gleaming. She speechified. Today, we celebrate stewardship and progress. This land, once wasted, now serves us all. Wasted, my blood boiled, but I waited in the crowd, manila folder tucked under my arm. As she snipped the ribbon to applause, I stepped forward. Hey, Karen, I boomed, camera catching every word. Nice party. Too bad it's all on my land. The crowd gasped, her scissors clattered. Excuse me? She stammered, eyes darting like a trapped rat. I flipped open the folder, voice steady but laced with sarcasm. Certified deed, plat map, boundary survey, all say this ridge is mine. You're trespassing. Every beam and bulb. Silence exploded. Her face drained to match her blazer. Ridiculous. This was acquired by Ridgewood Holdings LLC last year. Board approved. Oh, your little shell company, countered, pulling the next page. You filed the papers, but forgot to buy the land. Just assumed I'd roll over. Ha! Sweat beaded on her forehead. The cameraman zoomed in as whispers rippled. A suit from the developers interjected. Who are you? Alex Rivera, owner of this wasted paradise. You've got violations stacking higher than these cabins. Unpermitted builds. Enviro infractions. The works. Karen's jaw clenched, but she rallied with that femoral tone. This is for the community. Alex, you're being selfish, obstructing progress. Selfish? The irony hit like a punchline. Before I could retort, sirens wailed, sheriff's cruisers rolling up the fresh pavement. I hadn't called them that day. My quiet complaint weeks prior about unpermitted work had snowballed. Deputy Ramirez stepped out. Reports of fraud and trespass. Ma'am, step aside. Karen's voice cracked. Mistake. Confusion. Sort it downtown, he cut in. Sites sealed. Crews packed up. The project manager paced. Phone glued to ear. I addressed the stunned crowd. They knew it wasn't theirs. Just figured no one fights the HOA queen. Karen's husband, Ted, lumbered forward, red-faced. You'll regret this. You squatter. I held up my phone. Recording, Ted. Like your wife's fake emails claiming title. Deny that. He froze. Neighbors edged away. That moment, pure catharsis. Karen's mask cracked, her moral high ground crumbling like cheap foundation. But this was just the spark. The fire raged on. Over the next days, my documentation poured out. Logs of every incursion. Drone vids. Rejected filings. The DA dug in, uncovering Karen's embezzlement. $350,000 siphoned from HOA coffers for contractors, hidden as beautification. Board meetings backdated. Promises of kickbacks. Textbook fraud, the DA said. Charges flew. Wire fraud, falsification, trespass, conspiracy. Karen arrested at home. Ted implicated in transfers to his shady rental firm. The HOA imploded. Board resigned en masse. Residents electing a temp committee. They begged me on. Help us. Alex, you're the only one who saw through her. I agreed. On condition. Dissolve the HOA. Replace with voluntary group. No more enforcers. The cabins? Court ordered vacate. I donated some to vets. Kept one. Demolished the rest with a rented dozer. Each crash felt like therapy, erasing her greed. Karen and Ted pled down. Restitution. Finance bans. But wait, 3 months later, a lien notice hit my mailbox. $130,000 from a bogus Ridgewood Recovery Fund for shared improvements. Audacity level expert. Turns out, pre-arrest, they'd filed fakes on me and other dissenters. Elderly widow. Ranger. Testifying couple. Forged seals. Expired notaries. Felony city. Investigator Roth showed. Retaliation. Pure and simple. New charges. False instruments. Harassment. RICO light. Court hearing. Karen's lawyer claimed entrapment. He let us build to profit. I testified. Journal and footage in hand. They stole it. Judge scoffed. Unaware of ownership? Please. Feds jumped in on money laundering, $250,000 through dummies. Funding flips elsewhere. Trial bombshells. Ex-bookkeeper spilled backdated records. Destroyed trails. She said no one reads reports, just want mowed lawns. Verdict. Guilty all counts. Karen 12 years. Ted 9. Assets sold. Restitution flowing. Community exhaled at post-sentencing meet. No more blank checks, one said. We formed a land trust. I donated acres. Signs invited all. Protected by neighbors. Not HOA. But the Ridge whispered more secrets. Roth called. Phase 2 blueprints. 30 units with illegal septic tanks buried on my aquifer banned. Leaking nitrates. EPA classified contamination. Inspections unearthed ruptured tanks threatening 400 homes' water. Federal charges. Waste disposal. Conspiracy. Contractors nabbed fleeing. I whistled blue with evidence. Judge railed. Reckless greed. Extra years, Karen +8. Ted +6. Shadow LLC in niece's name. Investor scams, mail fraud probe. National news blasted. HOA nightmare poisons paradise. Nonprofit restored the land. Volunteers planted. Buried remnants. Letters poured in. A kid's drawing. Thanks for the clean mountain. Summer brought green peace. Bench overlooked it all. Roth mused. If you hadn't waited, then the poison spreads, I said. Donated restitution to trust. Now, the Ridge thrives. Gate welded open. Community owned. So, was letting them build entrapment. Or the ultimate checkmate against unchecked power. You tell me, who's the real villain in a world where rules become weapons?